6 months, and you can sort of see like to the edge of the room, like you can sort of tell like when you enter the room now. So we're at kind of like that 6 to 8 feet kind of thing, and again instantaneously. Now all the way along there, the other kind of neat phenomenons was all it would take would be to hear my wife's voice to get him to smile. So if I was holding him because my wife was whatever, having a shower or whatever, happy, content, having a grand old time, that the instant Patty yelled something down from downstairs. Do you know where this is? Head. Radar lock. I heard her. You're not anything anymore. Where's my mom? Give me my mom. I need my mom now. Never inconsolable. We never got. All of my kids are ridiculously laid back, which has been a delight. So whenever people are like, I can't believe you would have 4 kids, they're all easy. And this is, I mean, other than when he's really unhappy. Okay? That was a good show. Other than when he's really unhappy, and boy, when he's really unhappy, we were worried that that might be you today. Okay? Because you were a little grouchy this morning. Oh, this is big. But they've all been calm, laid back. We've never dealt with anything like croup, or we've never dealt with inconsolable crying. None of that. They slept well, they eat well, whether for good or for evil. We've believed in the family bed, so our babies sleep with us. It's why we have the biggest bed we can purchase. I haven't seen my wife in years. She's so far away from me. She's 5 or 6 feet away. It's a king bed, right? So I sleep on 7 inches on one side, and the baby gets about 4 feet in the middle, and then my wife flips onto either side of him in order to feed the babies. But they've all fed really well as a result of that. I really have trained myself to not move at all in the night. And all the scary things associated with the family bed. So there are some pretty scary things, at least you should know about. Like people, if you know you're a roller in your sleep, it's not a good idea because you could roll onto baby and smother baby. That would be bad. If you're a really deep sleeper, like nothing in the world can wake you up, not a good thing. If you've been drinking, get the hell out of the bed. Sleep in the tub. All of those things, but I'm not. In fact, a fairly entertaining story from last weekend. My eldest son, again, 4 boys, you have to understand, which means chaos. But my eldest son bursts into my room, dead sleep, and just says, "Daddy, something scary happened." Okay. Now my oldest has figured out how to get him out of the crib now. So he has figured out how to unlatch the crib and lower the crib and take him out and go do stuff with him, which is fun. But so from dead sleep to running. So I threw myself out of the bed. In doing so, then rounded a corner, smashed my hip on the corner of the bed. I got my foot caught in the baby chair, so I ripped up a toe, slid around the corner, smashed off a door frame, was running down the stairs because I heard a blender. Now we have everything on a dead switch, so I didn't know how they figured out how to find a dead switch, but they did, and that's what I had in my brain. They turned on the blender. Logan has his hand in the blender. That's what my brain said. So admittedly, I don't remember the stairs. Somehow I've ended up at the bottom of them. Again, smashed my knee into the tile, rounded the corner, looked in the kitchen, nothing but noise, deafening noise. Rounded the next corner looking for disaster, and they turned the TV up really loud. So if you know anything about noise, it's normally at negative 24 decibels, and he turned it up by accident to 24 decibels. So it was rocking the foundations of my house. But nonetheless, so I am not a deep sleeper. I'm a, beep. What was that? Who's that? Is everybody okay? What's going on? Okay, and if you go, Daddy. Daddy? You got Daddy? Is Okay, where's your daddy today? He mouthed it, which is good. No? Nothing? You staring at that. All right. No, nothing? Okay. I guess they're nicer to look at the meeting. But yeah, so we're not. So that's what our life is like for the first several months. Baby in the middle, us on either side, and my wife flipping back between them because baby doesn't move. Baby's on his back. He gets flipped onto, he's only just started getting put onto his tummy because he has some head control. So again, you can imagine somebody who can't lift their head, probably not a good idea to put them face down on a bed or a floor, not really cool. They always sleep on their back for the same reason, because there's this terrifying thing called SIDS that they say if you put them on their stomach or their side, they die. So don't do that. Put them on their back. They don't, or less likely to anyway. So now he started flipping over. He hasn't actually turned himself over yet. He can go from the side to his back, and he can sort of go from his front to the side. It's cute to watch him try. He doesn't quite make it. He's just sort of started to get enough muscle control to be able to move his body out of a position that he's unhappy in. So he falls asleep on the side all the time. And then he'll sometimes roll himself onto his back. But he sleeps. I need to put you down for a second, okay? But Max sleeps like this. You don't. But that's how he sleeps. With the big cheeks. Do you like Max? That's all. The only sound we're going to get out of you, I think, today. That's okay. I know they're terrifying, aren't they? Look at them every day. So
when you have a baby, what kinds of things do you do to make sure that they're well-rounded in all sort of areas, meaning like physical development, cognitive development,
okay.
social emotional development?
So physical, again, there's nothing to do with babies.
Until they get older.
Until they get older, and then there's nothing you can't do with babies.
Well, what is your, in these 6 months and you're talking about head control, what are they supposed, and maybe this might be better for your wife to answer, but what are you supposed to be doing with your baby to strengthen their tummy and their neck?
So like the pull-ups and those sorts of things, so those are fun ones. So you can, remember I said little hands make your little fingers look like baseball bats, which is really cool. That's one of the ways you can tell they're starting to get some head control, is you can have them hold your hands and then just slowly start lifting your hands up, and they can actually pull themselves up. The reason they need head control is so they can start eating solid food. If they don't have any neck muscles, then there's a genuine concern that their head could flop forward, which would close off their esophagus and they could choke. So if their head is bobblehead, bad, they need to be able to support their head. So the pull-up phenomenon, that's a fun one, and it's fun. Surprisingly, they can exercise themselves, which is the neat part about it, right? Put them on their stomach, and they do kind of reverse sit-ups. They lift their head up and they look. Nope, still on a bed. And then put their head down. And then they lift their head up again, and they look around. Yep, that's a dog. And that's a cat. And then put their head down.
Do you have a cat and a dog?
We do.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And they're both, wait for it,
boys!
I recognize that lady.
Here, we'll.
I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000, I would say, probably books.
Yeah.
Of all age ranges. And they get read to. Funny actually that the kids have been very different. With James, we even did flashcards, like we were that parent.
We just watched Parenthood. With Rick Moranis and his character and his little daughter.
So we did with James. We were crazy, like flashcards, all different things. My wife was on.
Pretty much brand new.
Yeah,
like
days
like
old.
3 months old, 4 months old. Like just show you cards every day.
Flashcards, show them the picture, read what the word is. And then we did that every night. Then we had a baby, so that stopped with every other child. They still like looking at them. We did it a little bit with Eric. By the time Logan came around, there's just no time.
And yet he speaks the quickest.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. He definitely is speaking the fastest. The speaking thing starts.
Or earlier, I guess.
Oh my God.
They start making noise.
He was sleeping, so he started screaming now. Don't be alarmed. It's like, where am I? Where are these people?
Noises start probably like real noises, like sound noises start about a year, 18 months. Words start very soon thereafter, or should. Hey Max.
Hey, Maxie.
Who's that? That's Mommy. Who's Mommy holding? Maxie, yeah.
He has his shots today.
Oh.
So he talked the earliest of everybody. He's speaking a ton compared to his brothers. James.
Is he ready?
That's very nice. James was the not quite the latest. I think Eric was the latest. James didn't start speaking like this kind of speaking until he was about probably 3, maybe a little older than that. Eric not till he was like 3.5. So we continue to attribute why Eric took so long to be that his brother spoke for him all the time. So if he needed something, James seemed to be creepy in tune with what he needed, and he would just go get it for him. So he didn't need to talk. He had his own little butler, which was kind of cool. This one, he doesn't seem to have a butler because the other 2 are off playing, so he kind of needed to talk a little sooner. I'm still here. Yeah. And so I'm sure he'll start talking next week. But so you can see 6 months head control, perfect head control, and yes, still perfect. Still perfect.
Recognizing faces, smiling, passing objects from one hand to the next. That's new too.
And this is about the time where they start to sit?
Yeah, a little bit
Between
more.
now and
Yeah.
about 8
Yeah.
months, maybe?
Just rolling over now more,
Yeah.
and probably 7 to 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
But they look usually when you go to the doctor, they usually ask you questions because they want to know if your child is maybe there's a problem.
Mhm.
See if you can catch up or not. And I would walk around. Does anybody want to hold him? So he's 17 pounds, 18 ounces.
Okay.
So he's about 90th percentile
Not too quick a
for,
rush, Siri. Not too quick a rush.
he's 90th percentile for height and 50th weight.
Oh no, I just.
So 90th for height,
Height.
50th for weight.
Perfect.
For weight.
Wow.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about.
He's right on the curve.
Yeah.
Perfect pulls his little curve there.
Yeah.
Mommy did a good job. It's a good oven. Recipes worked 4 times.
Was he ever get jealous?
Yep. Right now.
Well, yeah, you
But
can
yeah.
see he's kind of perked up.
Yeah.
You got
But
more
at the same time, and this is the one thing I actually think is very cool, they all kind of go through that brief jealousy, and it only ever seems to be the next oldest child. So like Logan was jealous of Max, Eric was jealous of Logan, James was jealous of Eric, but they've never been jealous of the next one.
Okay.
So like James and Eric, they just loved Max from the instant he arrived. From like the second, they were just thrilled to death that they had another well, actually James wanted a sister, but he was miserable that he had a brother for a little while, James was, but he wasn't jealous of Max. And that wave passed reasonably quickly, like maybe a couple of months at most. And now he's right down on the floor with him, smiling, laughing, jiggling, getting him toys. And they've all been like that, like with every single one of them. There's a brief period of, who is this interloper? Caralar. Just needed mommy here. Can we try one more thing now that mommy's here and you're willing to talk? I told them that I would tell them the little thing that you say that makes Daddy's heart melt. You ready? You ready? You might have to be quiet. Well, the card will, but you ready? Louder. I love you. You say it nice and loud. I love you. No? Say it to Mommy. That's
That is good. Yeah.
Oh, there it was. There it was. 3 little words.
Maybe don't.
Oh, he's good. He's
good.
robust.
He's okay.
Ah, if his brothers can hold him, Chelsea can't do too much worse than an 8-year-old.
Marissa.
Marissa. No, Chelsea. Sorry. It's your own damn fault you look alike. That's why they get called. Just put them on.
Okay. That's what we have hips for. There you go.
But yeah, the cognitive thing, going back to that, we just read all the time. So every night is reading time. They all get their own special reading time. So Logan has his reading time. We usually read 2 or 3 books a night, always in the rocking chair in his room.
Before nap time.
And before nap time. Yeah, I'm not home for that. Then his older brothers that are now in school, same thing. Before they go to bed, I lay down with them in their bed and we read 2 or 3 books. Strangely, my son, we just read an X-Men, what are those things, graphic novel, actually to my 4-year-old because he really wanted to. It was a little terrifying. I had to curb a lot of language, but he liked the BAMs, so, and the conks and the BAMs. So he read all those parts because he could start to recognize the characters. So every time it said smash, he was pretty excited. But my eldest now, who's 8, is actually into the chapter book phenomenon. So he's now reading books, though still how he knows every single Pokemon card and their characters and how many energies you need for this and that and the other
Because of the
thing.
flashcards.
although Eric,
He was an early reader. Jim was
yeah,
an
he
early
was.
reader.
He's in January. Is he
No,
January?
he's August, mid-August.
Yeah. But he was reading in kindergarten.
Yeah.
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 And he was above level.
Yeah.
And numbers and all that stuff. They're all pretty far ahead with numbers and that sort of thing. But yeah, other than that, again, there's only really so much you can do.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Do your children like songs?
James and Eric, yes. Yeah. I mean, all of them dance.
No.
When music comes on, they dance.
They all dance.
But do they like, like sing new stuff?
I have.
They like to
I
sing?
don't
Yeah.
sing.
Not so much. I have all their entire life before I've. He, I think, has benefited most from it. Eric and him have benefited most from it because they were the.
Gotta get the
I guess
mom-
James.
You gotta get the mommy arm.
Eric wasn't the snuggler.
Wow.
Eric had no interest in snuggling. Eric was not at all when he was a baby. He didn't want you to cuddle. He didn't want to be held. He didn't want to be hugged at all. James and Logan are nothing but snugglers, as you've been able to tell. So at night,
You know what? I'll give you Birkin cloth just
in case.
case.
in case there's an eruption.
I tried it before we came, so.
Oh.
Game on. That's okay. Smelling like babies, but it's fun.
Sides? The other side maybe. Other side?
Looking like a pro. Looking like a pro. So I spent a lot more time, again, it's terrible to say, but I spent lots more time with James because we didn't have anybody else, so I probably sang to him for like hours every day. So much so that he now knows some of the songs by heart, like Beautiful Boy by John Lennon. They will ask to have it sung. Eric will now as well. And Eric kind of went through Don't Never Touch Me until he was about 3 to being super snuggler again. This one won't go to sleep unless he has a cuddle. That cuddle, really sadly, has gotten quite short. Lately, he'll still say, "Daddy, cuddle," and then I'll sit down and we'll cuddle for like 3 minutes. And then he points to his crib. He's like, "Okay, I got it in. Good enough. Let's go." But they all sleep good. And eventually they all came around respond to that. Oh yeah. Oh. It's funny.
It's not going to pick up the stage yet.
Usually around 8 months.
Yeah. What about you? Do you like peekaboo? Do you like peekaboos? Peekaboo. Hey. What do you play now with Eric?
When the baby, oh, you go ahead, Nash.
Did you lose a lot of sleep?
Not really.
I was hesitant to answer for you, but
No.
I don't think so. Again, part of that I think comes back to the family bed.
But we also had a lot of, we have very good babies. Like
Very good babies.
Very good babies. Like they're not colicky. They pretty much feed and sleep. That's all. And we had 4 of them, so all good. Yeah, we got very, very lucky.
I put all of that on her because word of a lie. When James was a baby, I don't remember hearing the baby cry during the night, like at all. I know he did. I know that happened, but he must have, like, by the time happened, she was feeding it. So because that's part of the great thing about being in bed with him is baby's hungry, baby's feeding, done. Baby falls asleep feeding, you lay baby back
Although
down.
that's not recommended by doctors.
Not recommended by doctors, sure, but again, it worked really great for us, so I don't mind
I
saying.
know the first one we were very wary, like he was sleeping in the
Cognizant.
basin, like he was sleeping in bed next, like in the basin next to us. But when he got older, when he was 6 months, I would say, then I kept him in bed with me more. And then he went to his crib. With the younger ones, again, he kind of knew what to expect, so I just kept him in our bed. But
And we
again,
kept making
we're
the
not
bed bigger.
smokers. You never sleep with them when you take, when you're
Yeah, I
very
just told
sick.
them all
Okay, good.
But see what it
So
is.
that's the thing is, I mean, parenting is all about what works for your family.
That's right.
Right? It's what, and once you've had 4, you're
Yeah.
a pro.
And nobody knows what causes it. We
Right.
still don't know what causes it. I mean, obviously, the one was the baby sleeping on the backs used to be on their sides, and it used to be on their fronts, and now it's on their backs.
Yeah.
And obviously not sharing the bed because a lot of people roll over or smother them with blankets. A lot of babies at night, they made a gel with everything. But again, now studies are showing that actually co-sleeping with baby, you could breastfeed longer, and you don't lose as much sleep.
And it bonds them faster.
But again, you do whatever works for you, and if you want to listen to the doctor, you listen to the doctor, so you take the risk, obviously.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's looking everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just spit up. Yeah.
On the,
It's all breast milk, nothing in there, else in there.
So that would
Just
be-
pull the hair.
That would be cognition. And then from the other, I guess, getting all the way up to 3 as far as physicality goes, well, they just go nonstop. So you do your best to keep them out of trouble a little bit. He's not bad. Eric was a nightmare.
Eric started walking when he was 11 months.
Yeah.
So he was running by about 11 and a half, and he
Eric-
climbed everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
And we got him a special
Shelves.
helmet because he kept
We
falling.
did. I forgot about the bumper helmet. Yeah, we got him this little blue like foam. The Fud Guard. That's what it was called. It had little ears on it. It was this little blue like foam helmet thing because he would bang off at everything. We used to have this old coffee table that was a marble top table, and honestly, I think he banged off the corner of that thing about
Do you want me to
3
like
weeks
use
in
it
a row, which
record?
is why it's gone now. It's no longer in the house, but he
Turn
does.
the
Here's
camera on,
this
turn
little
it.
blue. Looks like a.
Put the camera.
What animal is that? Aardvark.
Aardvark.
It looks like a little aardvark head. That the Thug Guard. I've forgotten all about that. That's funny. But no, like he, for example, climbs up the wrong side of the stairs. So he's dangling 4 feet off the ground, hanging like this off of stuff. Yeah. But they. Told you.
What's that?
I did say that was likely to happen.
I'll show you his chubbies. They're so sweet.
Oh,
Pets him though, but that's okay. It's not child porn or anything. They're just so cute, and I squeeze them every day.
That's why she keeps having babies.
Little chubbies.
Because they grow out of that. Hey, but that is a part of what we're looking at,
Yeah.
right, with
Yeah.
physical development, it's normal, it's good to have a chubby baby, that means
Oh,
they're
yeah.
healthy,
Yeah.
right, and that's what they live off of.
And he's only 50th percentile, so
Yeah.
he's not even not that chubby. But everything's going to his growth, I guess, because he's long.
And all our kids have been like that. So all 4 of them have all been very long and very lean, which they didn't get from my family. But
Well, long.
long, yes, but not the lean part.
Well, it's interesting, because I have two girls, and they're both been tall, and my first is scrawny, and my second one is a tank. Like, they're night and day in size-wise.
Ours all look the same, but they all are radically different in personality. James is a bookworm. So James, if given any opportunity, he will read and look at his cards and play Lego and sit and be static and do all of that. Eric is the jock in the extremest sense of the word. Put a ball anywhere near him and he will go at it hard until he passes out. And like when James and Eric, James, I guess he was I guess he was doing 5-year-old soccer, so that would have meant that I guess he was almost 6. And Eric was only 2. Eric was better at soccer than he was 6-year-old. Like he could run ball control, crazy stuff.
Technology he wants to play.
Our eldest just learned comfortably to ride a 2-wheeler last summer. Eric learned the next day. So Eric saw him do it, said, okay, if he can do it, so can I. Said, Daddy, take off the training wheels.
How are
Sure enough,
you?
the next day
How are
was
you?
riding his bike.
It's quick. Say cheese.
Can you say I love you? Aw.
How about blow kisses now? Can you blow kisses?
Mwah. Yeah, that's right. Put on the show.
There we go.
And he's not rolling over yet, that's why he's okay over there. Otherwise, I wouldn't leave him.
Neglectful parenting.
Yeah.